Do you have kids? Well, congratulations. You have very little time for yourself and you spend a ton of your time taking your kids to activities and keeping them busy, as every parent should. This video is going to be very helpful because what I'm doing is I'm walking you through some of the best communities in Calgary that are kid friendly. And if you're thinking of moving here, or maybe you're living here right now and you're trying to decide what communities would be best for my kids, this video is going to be really helpful. And there's a number of factors that I'm looking at, and you'll notice that as I go through these quadrants, there's different price points. So of course, everybody's on a different budget. But the one common denominator is for all of these communities is that there are schools. Now, I got to give a disclaimer here though. The Calgary Board of Education, you need to call them, because just because you live maybe down the street from a school doesn't mean that that school isn't already full. So please do your homework on that, because I'm just letting you know which communities have schools. I don't know if these schools are actually full. All right, let's start with the Northwest, and I have selected the community of Brentwood. Brentwood, fantastic, older community, predominantly bungalows, by the way. They're older bungalows. They got all the mature trees, but what a great location. Because it's predominantly bungalows, you do have a benchmark price of $731,000. So it's going to cost you a little bit of money to get into this neighborhood, but wow, the schools are fantastic. I mean, they've got public and Catholic schools, K-6, you've got 7 to 9, you've got a high school, Sir Winston Churchill and St. Francis. So, I mean, for every age group, you've got schools in this community. And the location is so great. I mean, it's easy access to the University of Calgary. You can hop on the C train pretty easy and get downtown if you work downtown. And one of the other big benefits is Nose Hill Park. How fantastic is it to have Nose Hill right in your backyard? And of course, you can jog, you can walk, enjoy all the birds and the wildlife that are there. Really good to be able to raise kids. There are a lot of kids in this neighborhood, even though it's an older community. I think a lot of the people who settled there, 30, 40, 50 years ago, have downsized into maybe condominium living or what have you, because there is a lot of kids that live in that community. And so therefore you get a lot of activities that are very kid friendly. The community itself really gets together a lot. So this is just definitely a community I would consider if you want to be in the Northwest, but you have to be willing to live in an older home and maybe renovate it, or even just live in a dated house. That's probably the trade-off of living in Brentwood. All right, let's move over into the north. Panorama Hills. I love this community. It's a golf course community, and it's situated where it's a lot of walkout type of properties, because it's got rolling hills, you've got mountain views. As far as the landscape goes, it really has a little bit of everything. That's one of the things that I really like about Panorama Hills. And what's great about Panorama Hills is that it's affordable. Because if you're looking at getting into an apartment condo, the benchmark price is $278,000. Or maybe you want to get into a row house or townhouse, the benchmark price is $389,000. Or maybe just attached, just a semi-detached property, $530,000 is your benchmark price. Then of course, if you want to go to a detached house, you got to up the budget a little bit, and you're looking at $734,000. But the good news is, whatever your budget is, you can get in at Panorama Hills. As far as schools go, they do have K4, 5 to 9. They have a high school, John Diefenbaker, that's close. And they've got Catholic school, Notre Dame High School. So all ages, you have no problem with schools there. I love the fact that Cardell Place is also just down the road. I mean, that's a fantastic community. It's a sports rec center. It's got everything that you could possibly want in a rec center, so fantastic for families. And because, again, there is a wide range of pricing here, you have a lot of young families that live in Panorama Hills. Really easy access to the airport because you're close if you need to go get away. And Stony Trail is really close as well, so you can just hop on Stony and head out to the mountains. Or if you're heading up north to visit family in Edmonton, like I actually have family in Edmonton, you can just get on the QEW, which is also really close. So overall, this is a really good community. Definitely worth checking out, and I think the fact that it has all budgets really makes it more attractive. All right, let's move over to the northeast. I selected the neighborhood of Saddle Ridge, and I'm very familiar with this neighborhood. When I was a new agent, I did a lot of business in Saddle Ridge because I was working a lot with first-time buyers, and at that time, it was just very affordable, and it's still affordable, and that's really what brings a lot of first-time buyers into the neighborhood. If you're looking for a detached house, your benchmark price is $626,000. But if you want to get into a semi-detached, you're looking at $529,000. Row houses is $414,000, and apartments are $275,000. So not too far off from from Panorama Hills, except in the detached section. It's a lot more affordable to get into a detached house in Saddle Ridge. One of the cool things about Saddle Ridge is that it's a multicultural area. I mean, there is so many different cultures that live there. So you have to be willing and be prepared to obviously inject yourself into a multicultural society there, and it has a lot of benefits by being able to do that, because your kids get to be around all kinds of different cultures and get to experience different foods and different ways of thinking, which is fantastic. There is some great schools there, like Nelson Mandela High School is there. You've got K4, 5 to 9. There's Catholic School, Bishop McNally High School as well. There's K6. So all age groups are represented. You have the C train that's also right in your backyard, so really easy to get downtown. And there is a ton of community events in Saddle Ridge. Like, I mean a ton, because there is a ton of kids that live there. You've got the Genesis Rec Center, pool, fitness, the whole bit when it goes to that. And if you have to go shopping, Sunridge Mall is actually really close by too. So I would say, as far as definitely affordability and again, cultural diverse, Saddle Ridge is definitely a community to really put in your list to consider. All right, moving into the East Quadrant, and some of you might be a little surprised at the community that I picked. And it's a community that not a lot of people even know about. It's kind of nestled in an area that a lot of people just drive by and don't even recognize that it's there. It's called South View. And it's right in the corner of 17th Avenue, close to 36th Street. Really good, easy access into downtown. I mean, you're really close to Inglewood if you want to do some shopping in the cool area of Inglewood. You've got the bird sanctuary nearby. But I picked this community in the east primarily because it's also affordable. It's mostly detached houses. There's really nothing as far as condos goes, or townhouses, or very little. And so when I'm talking about prices here, we're looking at $487,000 is your benchmark price to own a detached house. And to be that close to downtown and on the Deerfoot, and also the bike paths that are really close by, this is a really cool community. Now, it's not a really big community, so there's not a ton of real estate that comes up for sale in that area. But you do have great schools that are nearby, K5, 6 to 9. You got Forest Lawn High School, you got Bishop Grandin, and you also got Catholic School, K6. So overall, I mean, if you want to get into, I mean, it is an older community, so you're going to have to, obviously be willing to live in an older house, but you're going to have a really big backyard. And of course, when you have kids like to be able to run around. But the fact that you can get into a detached house in that price range in this area and still be in that kind of a location, definitely worth a look. By the way, if you are finding these videos helpful, just do me a really big favor and go ahead and subscribe. And you can even, get notified when I do these videos, because I do them all the time by hitting the bell button. And or even just give me the thumbs up if you like the video. That would be great too. All right, heading into the southeast. Now there's quite a bit of selection when it comes to the southeast, so it wasn't an easy decision, but I did select Auburn Bay. And there's a few reasons for it. Number one, it is a lake community. And if you have kids, I mean, you can't go wrong with a lake community. I mean, that is a year-round playground, right? The kids can play hockey out on the lake in the wintertime, skate around. In the summertime, you have all the boating and the paddle boarding and the swimming and being able to have your birthday parties there for the kids. I mean, that's a great lifestyle being on the lake. So definitely worth considering if you like the idea of a lake community. And surprisingly enough, it's pretty affordable. I mean, for a detached house, yes, you're getting up there. $780,000 is your benchmark price. but there's a lot of semi-detached properties. 510,000 is your benchmark price, so that's pretty affordable. And these attached houses are pretty good. Townhouses are at $429 and condos are at $341,000. It's a relatively new community, so there's not a ton for schools. That's probably maybe the one downside. There's a pretty good chance you're gonna actually have to bus your kids out of Auburn Bay into another community to go to school. That's gonna be a little bit of a trade-off for the lifestyle of the lake. But there is a K4 public and a K9 Catholic. I'd just be willing to bet they're probably full. There is also the Calgary Soccer Center is really close by too. If you got your kids in soccer, and of course, if they're into hockey or skating or figure skating, those activities, there's a whole bunch of arenas that aren't too far from Auburn Bay as well. So overall, I mean, you just can't beat the ability to keep your kids active. And we know how important it is that kids do stay active. All right, let's head to the quadrant of south. And I picked Willow Park. This is another golf course community, and it's nestled, of course, really close to South Centre Mall, so you've got great access as going for shopping. Hopefully, your kids won't end up like I was when I was young and hung out at the mall, but anyway, regardless of that, it's great to have that kind of shopping close by. And there is the Trico Center as well, which also has fitness and it's got the arena there, so it's another area for the kids to be able to keep active. But I like Willow Park because it just offers a lot in terms of parks and the ability to get on bike paths. It's got easy access for busing to get downtown, and you're so close to where everything is happening. So if you do have to take the kids to any of your dance classes or whatever programs you have them in, you're not going to have to drive very far. As far as pricing goes, it's predominantly detached houses in there with a little bit of townhouses. There's no semi-detached. You're looking at $742,000. It is an older neighborhood, so you're going to have to be willing to live in an older home. Townhouses though at $357,000, so it's still affordable if you want to get into a townhouse. And those ones are right around Bonaventure Drive, so the busing is really easy there too. As far as schools go, I mean, you've got a lot to choose from here. Public schools, you've got K5, you've got 5 to 9, you've got Lord Beaverbrook, which is just a little bit north of there, which is of course a high school. For Catholic schools or separate schools, you've got St. William, you've got St. Cecilia, which is K6, and of course Bishop Grandin is for high school. So all age groups are pretty well represented here. So great community. If you can move into that area, most likely you probably will never leave. The Quadrant City Center, I selected the community of Altadore. Now I'm really familiar with Altadore because that's actually the community that I raised my 2 girls in, and absolutely love that community. Primarily for me at the time, I wanted to be pretty well, in the center of the city, because in real estate, I go all over. So, my logical thinking was I should just buy where it's just easy access to get around. And I think a lot of people do that, and even pick communities mainly where their job is close by. I just didn't realize when I really bought the area that, it would offer so much more than that as far as raising my girls. And you'll notice that as far as schools go, there's a lot to choose from. I mean, public school, you have Altadore, which is K6, you have Dr. Oakley, which is 4 to 9, you've got Central Memorial High School, which is, right there, really good high school with a good arts program. As far as Catholic schools, you've got St. James, K9, and you've got Bishop Carroll, which is 10 to 12. But the other thing about that area is it's just close to everything. So, whatever activities your kids are involved in, you don't have to go very far. I love the fact that Sandy Beach was so close by. The kids love to go down there and play around in the water. It was great having the Marda Loop shopping, right along 33rd Avenue. There's just so much to see and do around there. Transit is so easy to get around. And we spent a lot of time at the Glenmore Reservoir, and being able to just go over there, ride our bikes, or just walk around the reservoir. It's so beautiful. All of it is so close by in Altadore. Now, of course, because it is near downtown, you're going to have to pay a little bit more money to be there. A detached house there, the benchmark price is $1,051,000. For an attached property, and that there's a lot of infills that they built there. So these attached properties are pretty luxury. So that's why $900,000 is your benchmark. But you can still get into townhomes. There's $590,000 is a benchmark price if you're looking for something in that range. And condos, you can still own a condo around $304,000 is the benchmark price. So it's definitely more expensive. But if you have that kind of a budget, I would definitely consider Altadore. And that's one of those, again, same as Willow Park, it's one of those communities that once you're there, you generally don't want to leave. All right, last but definitely not least, picking the west quadrant of Calgary, I selected Cougar Ridge. Now, Cougar Ridge, if you've not been there, it is predominantly detached houses, but there are a lot of attached and condos as well. So there's a lot of different price points. And I have to say for this location, it's pretty affordable because detached, it is $799,000, and there's a lot of newer homes that were built in the 2000s. Attached, $538,000, and the townhouses are at $466,000. But if you look at where it's located, I mean, it's right in behind COP. So, I mean, COP is fantastic. There's so much to do there. I mean, in the wintertime, you have all the skiing and the snowboarding. In the summertime, the mountain bike park and all the other stuff that goes on there. I mean, it's just it's a year-round playground. It's so good for the kids to be there. So that's one of the big reasons why I like Cougar Ridge. But now that Stony Trail is right next door too, it's so easy to get in and out of Stony Trail. And they just finished that, completing the new leg right around there. So it's easy to get out on Bow Trail or out onto Highway 1 and head out to the mountains as well. This is a real family community. There are a lot of kids that are in Cougar Ridge. So you're gonna see the same thing, lots of community activities, lots of things to do. There's shopping on 85th Street. You've got Aspen Landing as far as restaurants and whatnot. Now, when it comes to schools, you've got a lot of choice here. You know, public schools, you've got the Waldorf School, that's K9. You've got the West Spring School, that's K4. Separate schools, you've got St. Joan of Arc, K9, St. Timothy, K9, and you've got the Ernest Manning High School from 10 to 12. So there is a lot of schools in the area, and they're good schools, and there's even some private schools as well. You've got Weber Academy. So what's cool about Cougar Ridge is you are bordering some other communities like West Springs and Aspen that are, more luxury areas that are, definitely catering to people who are in a higher income bracket. But Cougar Ridge allows you to get in at a more affordable pricing, but still reap all the benefits of what having a higher income bracket type of properties offer. So I really like this community, and I've sold quite a few homes in there over the years, and I've never had anybody that wasn't happy with it. I think the only thing now is that, there are a lot of homes that were built in the early 2000s, so some of them are looking just a little bit dated, but it wouldn't take too much to get them to look good. But overall, definitely Cougar Ridge, if you want to be in the West, is an area to consider. Let me just wrap up this video by saying this. I selected, 8 communities, and they're good ones. But there's definitely others, arguably, that are maybe as good as what I selected. So, I mean, there is a lot of choice. When I'm doing these videos, obviously I can't go on and on and on forever and going through every single community and what it offers. But the ones that I picked, I think, are at the top of the list. But very clearly, I'm going to say that there's other ones that also could be at the top of that list as well, which is why it's good to be able to do your homework. But these communities that I mentioned, definitely worth considering for sure. And of course, as always, if you want to get more information about any community in Calgary, we're a really good resource for that. We can give you all kinds of information about the market and about what's going on in those communities, which is great. So do me a really big favor. If this video was helpful, you liked it, just give it the thumbs up. You can subscribe and be notified by hitting the bell if you ever want to see more of these videos, as I do them all the time.